And Nietzsche1 here again, and I was going to put up 2 videos before, however, due to, let's just say, reasons, that didn't happen. Ahead of you, you can see a Seattle board. Oh, but the Seattle boards are broken, they don't work. Yep, that's true. Except this one. This is a third Seattle board. You see how reliable these things are? But you might notice a similarity, the gun board. I didn't have 2, and I still don't have 2 gun boards. This is the same gun board off of the original Seattle, and there's loads of parts over there, and you might be able to see a couple of logos, but we'll come on to that in a minute. But today I thought I'd show you this, which is now working. And you see over there the LEDs are working, so this is a proper working game. And that game is, well, this will take ages to come up. I will have to be a bit quieter because it is late at night, and let's put it this way, I can't be loud because my parents aren't going to bed, but they won't be far off it. My sister's already asleep on the couch. You see all the Seattle boards working, post version 6, memory of 8 meg, I think that's the actual graphics RAM. You see it's going through all its tests, real-time clock, and it's got the hard drive working. Real-time clock is good, and sound system's good, everything's good in this board. I'm just making up excuses just to ramble on. And I'm going to actually turn it away so you don't see what it is quite yet. But yeah, you can see it's all being hacked about, and this is my universal power supply, which has been working fantastic. But yes, the game in question, and
when the moon is full and trees are bare, walk
that's what I mean by loud.
If you dare, where skeletons rot and corpses fester, locate the tomb with the skull of a jester. Feed him the token all shiny and new. It is then that Carnevil will return for you.
I don't know how loud this is going to be actually. Turn this off so you can see the better picture of the screen. Whoa, it went dark in here. Sorry, my PC monitor just turned off. Now I've got to be careful. Of course, that game is Carnevil. It's taken me, oh god, months, if not a year to get this game working. And this is my 3rd Seattle board. And you might remember from my previous experiences, I bought this game, and yeah, it didn't work. Well, it worked. I don't know, it was sold as faulty, didn't work, managed to get it working, then this bloody Galileo failed. I bought a second board from the States, and that just turned into a nightmare. The chip on the board, the Galileo, just snapped. It just wouldn't work. There was no way in saving it. This is our 3rd board. No, I say it's my board, but Psycho helped me with getting it working. And basically, that means actually I've got 3 games. I'm not going to tell you what all 3 games are, but I'll go into a bit of details. So basically this is the same board as always. This is 150 megahertz R4 5000. It's got the same amount of RAM, same chips, everything, and I've put the Carnevil ROMs in place, and these I/O boards on the side, they just attach on. You'll notice that there's a white yellow wire going into this board. This is actually the C-Sync wire, so that's one thing to note. The actual pinout is the pin 1. That goes to your C-Sync line on your jammer harness, and that's one thing. But you'll notice this other wire. You're going to notice these 2 loose wires, and I'll go on to these in a minute. You've got your red, purple, black, and white. What are these all? Wow. Shall we just follow these down? goes into this connector, looking familiar, to this gun, looking familiar. This is the same gun from Point Blank, and I just wired it. I didn't really think about it at the time. I just wired it up to see what would happen, just if it did anything. I wired up this gun onto Gauntlet, and using the onboard boot ROM, I managed to figure out if it worked, and it didn't. It was just all over the place. It just didn't work. So, I wanted to try it on Carnevil. I can never do it though, because I never had a board. But I have a board. So, if we turn up the volume a little, and I wasn't really expecting much, I just thought maybe it would work, maybe it didn't, I don't know. Go into the game. Oh, sorry about this. It worked first time. Oh, come on. I don't want to watch this. Come on. Now I need to reload. Anyway. Yes, this. But as you can see, it is working. The gun itself is working. Let's go into the test mode here, just to show you what's going on. But yeah, I plugged this in and it worked first time. I'll go into more details about the whole setup in a minute. If we go into diagnostics, and we go down to gun test. Sorry, you can't see that. Gun test. And now this is the same screen I saw on. I'll turn it off, see if you can see it better. Not too much. Anyway, sorry, it's recording from a CRT with a camera is never easy. But as you see, this gun is actually coming up on the screen absolutely fine. And on Gauntlet, it never did. It was like, you could get it to sort of go across the line, but it was just all over the place and you couldn't control it. And I thought, oh, well, I'm going to need a different gun. Apparently not, because you've seen it's just working. And yeah, so the moral of the story is, well, firstly, Luke, don't be jealous. Secondly, to get this to work, apparently you just need a gun compatible with Namco games, which is, like Time Crisis, Point Blank, Time Crisis 2, Time Crisis 3 if you've got the non-camera version of that, and several games like Vampire, no, it's Ninja Assault is another one. And yeah, just to give Luke a little help, Luke being Luke Morse 1, who had this board but he couldn't use it. Well, here's your gun board. I assume you've got this all wired up, but if you don't, I'll just go through it. I think this is your power, this is your 5-volt power that goes to the gun. This is your trigger, ground. This is your sync line, ground. So this is basically be the CCD camera, not the CCD, the image sensor from the gun, and then ground, and then you've got, this is a pin out, so 1 is 5-volt, 2 is trigger, 3 is ground, 4 is sensor, 5 is ground, 6 is blank, 7 is actually your reload, which I assume is working. Now you'll notice it's not hooked up to anything. When I get the time, we'll probably hook up a pedal to it so it acts like Time Crisis. Excuse me, because my setup is a bit hacky. I'm trying to charge my phone because it has no battery power. And yeah, the yellow line, which I said before, which is the pin 1 of the C-Sync line, goes over to here. This is my custom gun connector. I went through this in a previous video when I was explaining how to hook up Point Blank. That white yellow wire goes into my custom gun harness, which just essentially connects it to the C-Sync of the jammer harness, and it connects power, but not in this game. And yeah, that's literally it as far as I can tell. The gun sensor in here, which is an LM1, I don't remember, it's like an LM114 something chip, is the exact same chip used in Carnevil, and here's a funny thing, the electronics in the gun is slightly different, but obviously it's similar enough that it will play. So I think the moral of the story is, A, hook up the C-Sync line. That is essential. Any game that requires gun inputs that doesn't have a gun I/O built into it will need a C-Sync line if it's going on to, it's a CRT scanner. This includes like Time Crisis and Time Crisis 2 and these games. So that's one of my things. And I think Luke, if you're watching, that's probably one thing to check. If you do have that, maybe getting a Namco gun, and you know, any gun will work. And that's the standard recoil SFX third-party clone gun, but you know, the original gun for Time Crisis will work fine because they're the exact same guns. Otherwise, there's not a whole lot to talk about, because you can see it working. I am so glad it's working. Like I said, it took maybe a year to get this board working. No, it wasn't a year. No, definitely months, but I can't remember now. I can't remember when I bought it. Anyway, I'm rambling because I'm tired. God, it took it so long to get that working. Every other game is just a bad bonus. This is the game I wanted to get working. Another thing is, I've noticed you do need to get the right revision. My game is actually 1.0.3, and you see in the back there, this hard drive here actually says Blitz. The reason it says that is because obviously I had Blitz, but I was having a weird issue. Originally I was trying to use these SATA converters, but these are just like cheap Chinese things. And they didn't really seem to work too well. You know, it just kept crashing and glitching out. And yeah, so essentially I think you need a very good SATA converter or an IDE drive is another thing if you've got one of these boards and it's giving you grief. That dip switches are very important. If you go into tamdb.net, you can download a manual, and this page is probably one of the most useful. You know, if you're not looking at the schematic page, this is the most useful. If you're getting any issues, check this first, because I didn't have this set up. I wasn't using these, and it never worked. If you remember back to my original videos, when I had Carnevil, it was giving me weird issues, but I set the dip switches and suddenly it started working. Now, the first couple of ones you don't need to worry about. These are coinage and different programs. These you don't need to worry about. I just have them on, and then off. Now, basically, those you don't need to worry. This is U9. You don't need to worry so much about it. Power on test loop. That basically test the board, and if it works, test it again. Keeps testing it. So you know, just turn it off, because that's just going to cause an annoyance. We've got here, I think that's what that means anyway, I'll have to check it. It says not use, off, not use, off. Those, yeah, just leave those off. I think it's Blitz. Blitz actually uses that to figure out what graphics mode you're in, so you need one to be on, one to be off to get it to work right. Because Blitz is 24 and 15 kHz. Carnevil is 15 kHz only, so it doesn't matter what setting these are on, but just keep them off. Graphic speed, I don't know if this is important. I'll check it later, but I don't think it's so important, but obviously set it like that. Dip switch 6, now this is a killer. On U8, if this isn't set right, the game will just keep crashing and restarting. I don't know why. It says it's not used, but just follow the manual, leave it on. And then game and test mode, which obviously is your test mode switch, which you don't need. So yes, that is a couple of things to check out if your Carnevil board isn't working. Obviously, if you've got any questions, let me know in the comments. But I'm not going to end it. I said I had a new game. Now, we got all these parts over here and a very long charging cable. So let's go have a look. Oh, and obviously I'm going to have to redo these because it doesn't like SATA hard drives. Here's Blitz, SATA format, so this actually works. It's weird, Blitz and the other game worked fine, but for some reason Carnevil didn't. Now the newcomer to this family is over here. Ugh. California Speed. This is an Atari game, which gets me onto my point of why the heck is there Atari and Midway when they seem to be the same company, yet they do completely different things. I mean, this is such an Atari or Midway game, but it's entirely different, and I will put a video on it. And yeah, this came with this board, which is, well, this is what I bought. This is California Speed's PCB, but obviously because it's Seattle, you can use any game. And California Speed, Blitz, and Carnevil are all the same. You can use any board interchangeably. This is the widget board. This is actually your where your steering wheel goes in, and where your network is. This is basically your I/O board, and yeah, you do need this board for the game to even boot. If you don't have it, it just will hang. Pardon me. This game here is 24 kHz only, so it means if you don't have a medium res monitor, you know you're going to need a scan converter, and just to see anything. You can sort of use it to test. You can use a 15 kHz just to see if it works, but you know, not much. Also, you can run these out without the force feedback board, because these games have force feedback. But you need to, if you don't have that hooked up, you need to have the radio buttons hooked up, because again, go to tamdb.net, tamdb.net, and download the manual, because that has the schematics in it that tell you exactly what pin does what. Well, the schematics won't, but the pinouts will. And obviously, because all these are completely odd, you do really need to figure out. I will be figuring out this board anyway to see what the lamp outputs, because this board not only does your force feedback, it does your lamps, it does your stereo wheel in, it does your network and various other things. It's a very cool board. And for some reason, Carnevil will actually boot with this board, but crash subsequently after. It's really weird. I think it crashes after. It says that the gun board is okay when clearly it's not, because it's not a gun board. But yeah, that's our new addition into the Seattle family games. Now, that board is so going in a wooden case, because I've had so much troubles. Luke's had so much troubles. These things are a nightmare to keep going. You know, if you have one of these boards, put it in a case, just protect it. But yeah, like I said, you know, and this, like I say, this video mainly goes out to Luke to help out with his Carnevil board, because as far as I'm aware, he still hasn't fixed it. C-Sync, Namco gun. It should work with your rifle gun, you know, rifle board, but if it doesn't, C-Sync. Alright. Sorry, I'm tired. Anyway, it's late. I'm going to upload this to YouTube, and I will see you next video. Thank you for watching. Hope you've enjoyed.